Stand by to launch FanStream Sports.
3, 2, 1.
Let's start.
Hello, sports fans. Welcome to FanStream Sports. Nothing but pure sports. This is the JP Show.
JP, it is so good to hear you back on the air.
Stand by. Now, here's JP.
The 3-2. Swung on. High drive. Deep to right center. That baby is gone. Home run for Brandon Lau. And the Rays will grab the lead.
Oh, my. Courtesy of Bally Sports Sun. What an opening, or what a solo shot for Brandon Lau right there, and an unbelievable at-bat, a 10-pitch at-bat where he fouls one off his foot and still hangs in there to hit a 405-foot shot. That was a no-doubter line drive, was just trying to get a little contact on the ball, get guys behind him. He said Wander and Rosarena will work the inning, but nah, that's all they needed. That's all the Rays pitching staff needed to complete a third straight shutout. 27 innings, have not given up a run in Major League Baseball. It's a franchise record, never done it before, and your Rays have started 10-0, a perfect 10, if you will. And they've got 3 games left to tie the Major League record of the 82 Braves and the 87 Brewers to get to 13. They got to sweep the Red Sox to do it, which that would be pretty sweet. So good morning to you, and welcome to another edition of the JP Peterson Show here on this another winning Tuesday for the Rays as they just continue to roll. Good morning to you, my biggest Rays fan, Nick Geddes. What, no Rays stuff on today? Have you run out of Rays options?
I feel like it's almost am I getting a little too stale with my Rays gear on the show? That's what I felt like.
Well, and if they don't win tonight, bro.
Everybody thinks I'm not cleaning my clothes, so I'm like, it's in my head now, apparently. Golly.
If they don't win tonight, everybody's going to blame you because you didn't wear any Rays stuff.
Hey, yesterday I wore Buck stuff and a Greg Norman shirt, which should have been probably a curse, and it wasn't that way.
True.
Oh, by the way, though, what was that about play a real team, they said?
Play a real team.
Play a real team, they said, right? How about this? Play a close game for once. See how it works out for you.
Check and check.
Yeah.
Check and check.
Yeah.
Listen, it's an unbelievable start. There's, I still am somewhat skeptical about the parts of this team. I mean, 10 games, it's great, but we know a Major League Baseball season is a hell of a lot more than that. There'll be some ebbs and flows. There will be injuries. You can count on that. And this team will have to fight through some certain situations. But you've got a 10-game cushion right now. Not a cushion, but you know what I'm saying. You're plus 10 before you even start the season. Now that puts you in great position to absorb these injuries, to absorb the inevitable slumps that are going to happen. This is not a finished product team. They're not going to keep doing this or scoring these 7 runs a game and allowing 0. That's just not going to happen. It just doesn't happen in baseball. But boy, do you have a leg up right now. You really have a leg up in the division. I think there's only one other team that is has less than 4 losses.
I think it's Milwaukee.
Yeah, Milwaukee. So, I mean, it's like everybody loses games in this league, especially early on when you're just trying to find themselves. And I think we mentioned this yesterday. The Rays had more WBC players than any team in baseball. Mm-hmm. So these guys came in sharp and ready to go. Hell, let's do a WBC every year. Let's go. Whatever it is, this team is firing on all cylinders. And it was good to see them win a close game last night.
And last night, again, is a Rays game that we've been kind of accustomed to, right? You pitch, and you get the one timely hit. That's all they needed.
Yep.
Was the one timely hit. And right now, in that at-bat that you mentioned that Brandon Lau worked, a 10-pitch at-bat where he's fouling pitches off, he's showing great plate discipline, and just waiting for the mistake.
Yep.
And that's what the Rays have been doing. That's been their MO for 10 games so far, is they're just waiting for the mistake.
I just love, it brings me back to my childhood days of watching baseball. And the pace of the game, it was so funny. Last night, Tally was all right, we need to go play some ball. Like, I got back from a workout, and she's, like, looking at me because I got back. Well, I went to, I was hoping to watch the game in my gym, but once again, TV's off, don't work in my gym. I pay way too much money to get that. And so I said, all right, I'm going to go back and, quick workout. We'll go back and watch the game. We're watching the game. Tally wants to go out. So I'm all right, we'll go out, throw the ball a little bit. I'll come back, just rewind. I missed 3 innings.
Oh, it goes quick.
I missed 3
It goes quick.
innings. I came back. I left in the third. It was the 6th inning when I came back. I'm like, what the F just happened? And I rolled. It took me like 3 commercial breaks just to go back and catch up. It was that quick. The pace of the game, especially when there's not a lot of hits going on. I mean, my God.
That was almost 2 hours in the dot yesterday.
Yeah.
It was pretty close.
Yeah. That was phenomenal.
Yeah,
so the pace of the game is great.
Which, by the way, too, for the 6:40 start time, now it's like this game's going to get over before 9 o'clock on most nights.
Yes.
You can get home and in bed before 10 o'clock no matter where you are for the most part.
It's getting to the game that's a problem.
That's the problem. But getting home earlier is a big plus.
I think so. They've really hit on something, but they only had 13-4 last night. I should say only, but for Monday night, that's a great.
I'll take that for a Monday night.
Yeah, not a lot of Red Sox fans.
No.
Well, I don't know. I heard some cheers, but
not as much as you used to, though.
listen, if you can get 13-5
on the weekdays,
on a Monday night,
and then you get probably
after a weekend series where people have already been to the Trop,
and then you get like 17 to 23 for the weekend somewhere in there.
that's okay.
You're probably going to average like 16 to 17. That's when you factor it all out. That's probably what you're going to be at.
Yeah, which
you
is
move
not
up
bad.
a little bit. You
Which
take
is
that.
Not bad. Yeah, that's not bad. And we'll get into a little bit more of what that means as far as where the new stadium is going to be. Does it mean that maybe the location is not the issue? It's been marketing all along, and I still think it's very interesting, the different changes that have happened, and the fact that MLB sent out their own surveys, 2 of them, not the Rays, but Major League Baseball sent out their own surveys to the Rays email list in this past off season, and then you get all these changes. Interesting. Who's running this franchise anyway? At least the marketing department. Who cares? They're finally doing it for the fans, which just means we were right all along. But what a fantastic, dramatic game. That takes me back to those. It almost had like a little bit of a playoff feel to it. Like every pitch was important. And then Fairbanks, of course, Poche, your boy. I was thinking about that last night.
Oh,
they bring
my
Poche
gosh.
in, he gives up a broken bat single.
Yeah, a little unlucky.
And then, the 2 walks, I think he got squeezed a little bit. I'll just be honest. I think he got squeezed a lot.
But it's just funny because it happens
And
to
I'm
Poche.
thinking of you, and I'm like, oh, God. Nick's like, yeah, sure, we win 9 in a row, and we put Poche in at 5, and look what happens. But then, how does Devers look at that last fastball? He throws Devers a 93 miles an hour. It was a little low in the strike zone, but, I mean, that was his
That's his
hot
wheelhouse,
zone.
though. And if you
I
could,
saw when he let go of that pitch, I went, oh, no. Oh, no.
Literally,
Oh, no.
literally.
That thing better break.
If
that's a fastball, it's a grand slam.
my jaw was wide open
and
when I
he
saw him
doesn't
take
swing
it.
in it.
And if you were keeping track with Devers in this Tiger series, he came in red hot. He's one of the hottest hitters in baseball.
And I'll say the 2 pitches he fouled off were pretty fat.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to say the Rays got lucky there, but the Rays got lucky there. He missed 3 pitches that he normally crushes. But he's 0 for 8 against Poche, so Poche's in his head.
Something in there, yeah.
He's in his head. And for him to look at that last pitch, I was like, oh, okay. And he just put his helmet down and said, thank you very much. Whatever. It's a 1-0 win over the Red Sox,
but again,
and it's 10 in a row.
They said try to pitch against a legit lineup, and how about a legit player? One of the best players in the league, by the way.
Yeah.
And you get him out in that situation. So Colin Poche loves to make it interesting. He certainly loves to make it interesting. Kevin Cash loves to go to him in high-leverage situations, too. I'm telling you, it's almost like he loves to just tempt fate just a little bit. But right now, the way the Rays are playing, they're getting away with all this stuff. I mean, there's always luck associated when you get to like a streak like this a little bit.
Of course.
You got to have breaks go your way.
Of course.
But they got them yesterday.
Yeah.
And how about, yesterday, too, they do it completely different than they've done it before. Like, they went back with the opener.
Love that move.
Which, by the way,
Love
I remember
that
us
move.
having this discussion last year. Fleming splits as an opener and without the opener are pretty drastic.
I haven't seen those.
Pretty drastic. I'm going to try to go find it right here because I remember we talked about this last year in the summer.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And I think I might have tweeted the breakdown.
Yeah.
So I'm going to see if I can find that. But in the meantime, Colin, here it was right here. When he has 4.92 ERA as a starter, Josh Fleming. And when he comes in behind the opener, it was 2.88.
Yeah, we talked about
and this was last year.
Yeah.
So it's a complete difference when he comes in later.
Well, I think part of it is he doesn't have to get the top of the lineup started because he's a slow starter. He doesn't find his location early on. He's a slow starter, so it gives him a little. When he doesn't start, he gets the bottom third of the order to go out there and pitch the first inning against. That's a big deal.
Yeah.
That bottom third of the order as opposed to the top, the top six, especially when you're playing a team like the Red Sox. That's a great way to start. So yeah, they get Beeks in early, who's throwing hard. And then Fleming comes in maybe a little, more soft tosser than. I think it was a great mix. A lot of lefties last night. They pounded them with the lefties. So once again, Cash comes up with a great call, and it works out perfectly for him because I do think that made a tremendous difference for Fleming. And I think going forward, if you're gonna stick with him as the 5, that's how you play.
That's how you do it.
Yeah, give him an opener of a righty or a lefty that throws a little differently than he does. And you get a good start out of them. So it's an embarrassment of riches here. I was talking with a buddy of mine, or texting on a group chat, and the thing that's just crazy to me is how are the Rays able to find all these pitchers that are so good, and they get a lot of them for nothing. Mm-hmm. They go out and find guys. I mean, pitching. Every team needs pitching, and I look at guys like Fairbanks. Here's a guy that just absolutely, 27 innings now without giving up a run?
Yeah, going back to last year.
I mean, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
And
Who had an ERA over 6 when they got him for Nick Solak in 2019.
Right. How?
Yeah, even Beeks. They traded, remember, the Rays traded Eovaldi at the deadline, I want to say, in 2019 for Jalen Beeks. Nobody had ever heard of Jalen Beeks. He was struggling to even stay in the majors with Boston.
Right.
And he comes here, and for the most part, he's been really good.
Yeah. And, I mean, it's one guy after another that they're able to find and make into a great pitcher.
Yeah.
I mean, Kyle Snyder's obviously a really, really smart guy.
Yeah, and I wonder how long before that guy gets a look.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, everybody that seems like they're on this staff, from Charlie Montoyo, Rocco Baldelli, all these other guys, Dave Martinez, how is that guy not getting a shot soon?
Yeah.
You'd have to think it's coming.
Because he knows pitching.
He knows pitching.
And he knows what the Rays do to find pitchers. I think that's where, we talk about lineups and stuff like that when it comes to analytics. But to me, I think where the Rays use their analytics the best is finding players. They dig down deep into contact rates, spin rates, all these other things that I guess other organizations aren't paying attention to. And they get a guy and they're like, oh, he's in the 96th percentile in his spin rate on his slider. And I'm like, well, then why did they just give him away?
Yeah.
Why did why is his ERA 5.5 if he's got that kind of spin rate on his slider? And then the Rays get him here and they say, throw your slider.
And the bigger teams, with the big budgets and they want to have the big name players, it's like they just completely ignore that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. The great example I'll use of that is Craig Kimbrell, who continues to bounce around the league at really good teams. Mm-hmm. Like now he's on the Phillies, and guess what? He's a disaster. His ERA is over 13.5. He's just not good anymore, but he's a name, and people think they can still rely on that and get something out of him, and he bounces around all these big teams. It doesn't work out. Chapman's doing that right now.
Yep.
He's been doing that, but the Rays, meanwhile, they just ignore all that and say, you know what? Well, let's go get the guy that has something. And let's tweak it a little bit, and let's have him do what he does best. Put him in this system. Let's let Kyle work with him, and this is what you get.
Well, and just from a financial standpoint, ascending players are cheaper than declining players. Declining players are still getting paid for what they did. Ascending players are getting paid for what they might do. And the way baseball's CBA works, these younger players, I mean, look at Arozarena. We're going to have control of him till he's like 45 years old before he even hits free agency. Which is crazy to think about that. He'll never get a contract here because he's a Boris client, but that's okay. I think they have him under contract.
They're going to get him through his entire prime. Yeah,
through his entire prime.
It doesn't really matter.
Yeah, and then he's going to then somebody's going to pay him for what he's done, not what he's going to do. And that's in professional sports. You can't. That's a disaster unless you have an unlimited checkbook like the Dodgers or the Mets or these other teams that can sign guys that are, take a chance on veteran players, and if they stay healthy, they get some bang for the buck. But most times they don't. So, but they can absorb that and just go buy somebody else. The Rays, obviously, they could do it, but not long term, certainly. Anyway, what a phenomenal game last night on so many levels. You talk about a third straight shutout. I was trying to think. That's never been done in our franchise history. Like how often is that done in baseball? I haven't seen any numbers on that. But I got to believe that's pretty freaking rare.
It sounds pretty rare. And how about in the way they've done it in the 3 games? They've only given up 7 hits.
7
hits total since Saturday against Oakland. That's it. I mean, they're giving you nothing to look at.
Yeah.
They're not walking guys. They're just putting guys away. It's been easy. It's been really easy, to be honest with you.
Well, it looks easy.
Yeah.
It looks easy.
It looks easy.
It's anything but easy. No question about it. Since we ignored our commenters yesterday, and we apologize for that, Lonnie Wilkins is up early and coming on strong. I saw Lowe had to get an MRI after the game. The results came back to confirm he's got that dog in him. He's 3 home runs in a row, three straight games.
He gets
with
them in
home runs.
bunches.
Yeah.
He gets them in bunches.
Boy, that was a very well-timed one. Saw a tweet last night about the time you'd be home now in the area. The folks were out. The folks are out of it with more excuses. What, fans, in terms of coming home? Like, I don't call them excuses. They're still, weeknights are going to be tough. Because at 6:40, if you're coming from work, at 5 o'clock or whatever, I think people, schedules are a little bit more flexible these days. So I think getting to the game is a little easier than, obviously getting home is everybody has to go at the same time. You can get to the game anytime you want. You can get to St. Pete anytime you want. You leave early in the day, work remotely, somewhere. I mean, it's not like the old everybody's got a 9 to 5 anymore. It's very rare. So I think the Rays are doing well to experiment with some opening times. I think 6:40 is a good start time.
And that was a good start yesterday. You put 13-4 in there last night for a Monday game against a team that doesn't draw as much as it used to. You take that, and I hope they can keep that up. They got the Thursday game at 12:30 as well, which we're over here right down the road from the Trop, and I'm already considering making a nice little trek over there after the show on Thursday.
You haven't gotten your ballpark pass yet.
No, forgive me, but I've had a lot of expenses that have in the last.
Well, for one jersey, you could buy a season's worth of ballpark pass, right?
Yeah, but if I just keep abusing the $10 ticket deals that are available for most of the games, it's really not that bad.
About the same.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to go to 5 games in a month, or maybe you will.
I've been to 2 already.
Yeah. All right, well, let's listen to Kevin Cash and hear what he had to say about last night's 1-0 win over the Red Sox.
Get to the stellar pitching in this game. We'll start with the big moment. Brandon Lau on the 3-2 count on the fastball. How impressive was that piece of hitting in that moment?
Pretty impressive. The whole at bat. Chris Martin's a really good reliever. We don't have many reps against him, but Brandon had a really good at bat, fouled the ball off his foot, hung in there on some pitches, and then got a fastball just low enough that he could get the barrel to, and we know that he can knock it out of the ballpark when he connects.
And in terms of pitching, Josh Fleming, the bounce back, and then the bullpen before that, Jalen Beeks, just a collective effort by everybody.
Yeah, happy for all of them. Certainly happy for Josh. He came in, was super efficient, got the strike throwing going. A really good breaking ball from our vantage point. Looked like that was kind of the equalizer to some of the righties, being able to kind of wrap it around and backdoor it to righties and then sweep it away to lefties. But he threw the ball really, really well.
Poche getting out of that bases loaded jam, striking out Devers. Just what you see there.
Kind of got himself in the jam, but give Colin credit. He's been in a lot of big moments for us and took a couple deep breaths and executed some really big pitches to a pretty special hitter.
Just the way it's going, I assume that there was some pretty good confidence something was going to happen.
Yeah, you'd like to think so. This is the first night where it was kind of quiet offensively, so I kind of felt like at any given moment somebody could knock one out of the ballpark. Probably the right guy with Brandon. But look, their guys, Pivetta was really tough, as sharp as we've seen, maybe as much as any time we saw him last year. You understand why the bats were not putting up the big numbers maybe just because his stuff was so good, but happy that we stayed at it and our couple rallies, their guys made some big pitches, but we got it done with nobody on.
I think Pete was pretty eager for that first save situation.
He looked like it, yeah. That's pretty electric stuff that he features, and when it's in the zone, it's tough to handle both, weapons with the curveball and the 100-mile-an-hour fastball.
Did it feel like a Rays-Red Sox kind of game?
Yeah, it did. Definitely felt like a Rays-Red Sox game. Look, they're a good team. I'm thrilled that we're not playing them 19 times. I'll be totally happy with the 14, I believe it is.
13, yeah.
13.
Yeah.
Kevin, for Colin to get through that had to fire up the dugout.
Oh, yeah, it definitely did. I mean, look, our bullpen has not, for good reason, hasn't had too many, high intensity, high anxiety, high leverage situations. Figure with Boston coming in that we were going to have our share. Certainly, you're not going to get any higher than that. Bases loaded, 2 outs in a 0-0 ball game. But yeah, I'm sure it was pretty rewarding that he was able to get himself back in the strike zone and execute really quality pitches.
Brandon, it didn't look like he was going to have to come out of the game. He just looked like he was a little sore when he felt the ball off his foot.
No, he's fine. Yeah.
You weren't going to let him come out, right?
No.
He was finishing that.
He could have hit one-legged. He'd been fine.
Yeah, he ain't coming out of the game.
No.
Although it's interesting now, it's like he said, you got to get right back in the box. I think if you got an injury, you get time out. So, and it's funny. We talked about this in the offseason. I said, what a huge difference it's going to be this year with the more balanced schedule.
Yep.
And and that's we talk about them playing 3 weak teams to start the game. That's part of the balanced schedule.
Mm-hmm.
And part of the reason the Rays have started 10-0 is because they start with Tigers, Nationals, A's out of division opponents, which they're going to face a lot more this year than in division opponents. That alone, I think, is worth 5 games.
Yeah,
5 wins a year at least. I mean, because look at some of these other teams. They could not swim in the AL East. Even Baltimore is good and finished over 500 last year. And the Red Sox are going to always be tough.
And the Yankees.
I mean, Yankees and Blue Jays just go without saying. I mean, and then you get the Reds for 3 games a little bit. You get the Red Sox, then you get the Blue Jays, and then you're at the Reds, and then the White Sox.
Yeah, but I say you're going to get Chicago for 7 games this month?
Yes.
At the end, Chicago's not a good team.
No.
I mean, the Rays have a chance here. They're already up 4 in the division.
Yeah.
And like we said yesterday, when you start out 10-0, the luxury that you get is I think they're going to be better than this anyway.
Yeah.
But worst case scenario, you play 500 baseball, which I think we all agree this team could easily do. You're in the playoffs. That's it's a 10-0 start. It's early, but you've already put yourself pretty much in there.
You know how many games they have against the AL East in this opening month? 6.
6, that's it.
6.
And usually they flood your opening schedule with those.
You're going to see the Yankees 6 times, usually in your first month.
Yeah, they don't see the Yankees. They're going to see the Yankees 6 times, or 7 times rather, in the month of May. But you're not going to get there until May 5th. And before you go to the Yankees, you're going to get the Pirates. You go to the Pirates, another team. You're going to get Chicago, the Cubs, that is, in there. This is going to be the whole thing all year long. And as long as to me, the recipe for success is you beat up on the teams you should beat, and then you split against the really good teams. Well, guess what? You just won 95 games. That's the recipe.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and again, there's going to be injuries, especially to the pitching staff. We know that. But you look at some of these other teams, like the White Sox right now are 5-6, and are not, I don't think, a great team.
No.
Oakland's 2-8. Obviously because we swept them, that certainly helps. Detroit's 2-7. Where are the Nats? The Nats are 4-7, obviously because they all lost 3 games to the Rays. They're playing 500 or a little under, outside of that. So look at every number. I mean, you look at the run differential of plus 58 for the Rays right now. The Yankees are at plus 18. Boston's at plus 11, and they're 5-5. The next closest is Texas at plus 20. Milwaukee with the next best record at plus 22. The Dodgers are plus 24, and they're 6-5. I mean, it's just kind of weird when you look at all these. But no question that the balanced schedule is a huge help for the Rays, and they're.
It's going to reward it's going to reward the really good teams, and so I think things might be stretched out a little bit between the difference between the worst teams and the best teams. To me, is going to be probably maybe wider than it has been in the past.
Yeah, that's another huge help for the Rays. All right, the Tampa Bay Lightning have an interesting game coming up tonight against the Toronto Maple Leafs, and by the way, we're going to talk some Masters with Bob Herrick here coming up at 10:30. Obviously, he was there. So let's go ahead and take a break. We'll come back and we'll talk a little bit Lightning. We'll do a lot more Lightning later on in the show, and we'll talk some Masters with Bob Herrick. All that coming up on today's big show, brought to you by the Jeeves Law Group, JEEVES, JeevesLawGroup.com. If you have been involved in an accident or had your car totaled and don't think you got what you should have gotten, Well, call the Jeeves Law Group. See if you have a case. JEEVESLawgroup.com. The number is at the website, and you can also email them to get a free consultation. All right, back in a few. Bob Herrick will join us to talk some Masters. Stay with us. Hey guys, are you experiencing those feelings of getting older, lower sex drive, fatigue, hot flashes, moodiness, or you just don't feel like you had the vitality you once had? It's a chronic problem here in the United States. You're not just getting old, it's likely low testosterone. Studies over the last 20 years show a shocking decline in younger males aged 16 to 39. Older men have seen a sharp decline as well, so do something about it. Go see my friend Christopher Lugo at Bay Area Modern Medicine. Look, testosterone replacement is not a frivolous treatment. It takes a professional, targeted approach that focuses on total body wellness, vitality, and emotional stability, not a one-size-fits-all approach like many clinics use. They will monitor your blood work and adjust your treatment as needed for optimal results. Folks, I've been on testosterone therapy for over 6 years, and it is a life changer. You will feel and look better than you did 10 years ago. Give them a call at 844-977-3477 or go to BAMMC.com. Tell them JP sent you for priority scheduling. That's 844-977-3477 or BAMMC.com. JP here for the Jeeves Law Group. Have you been injured in an accident, in an auto accident, truck accident, motorcycle accident, at work, or at a place of business? Well, call the Jeeves Law Group and get the personal attention that you deserve. I made the mistake many, many years ago with going with one of the bigger law firms, the national law firms. And let me tell you, getting a call back from those folks was next to impossible. Weeks and weeks would go by, never get a call back. That doesn't happen with the Jeeves Law Group. Personal attention is what they're all about. When you call the Jeeves Law Group, you will be part of the family. They will represent you in a vigorous and aggressive way against the insurance companies. These larger companies will promise bigger settlements, but it's the Jeeves. Know that they are the family jewelers, and they will treat you like family. It's always a fun experience. Just head on over there. You will not find a better selection anywhere in the world. It's a jewelry super center. They've got engagement rings, necklaces, earrings, pendants, chains, and thousands of diamonds to choose from. They're all right there. They don't have to ship anything in. They have jewelry for every price range as well. Guys, if you're looking for some of those baller watches, they have a great selection. They have new and used. You can get some great collectibles there as well. And if you're looking for some more affordable gold and diamond jewelry, you have to check out the Emily collection from Emily Johnson Weintraub. Emily created this collection for people who want to wear and stack elaborate jewelry but don't want to pay the big ticket prices. You got to check this stuff out. The Golden Diamond Source has plenty of options to accommodate any budget, interest-free financing for up to 5 years, and a layaway program, 20% down and only 6 monthly payments. And this month only, get up to 15% off the March birthstone, which is aquamarine. Like we always say, keep it local, folks. The Golden Diamond Source, Julie and Steve Weintraub, such great philanthropic benefactors. So let's keep it all local here when we have the opportunity, right? It's the Golden Diamond Source, 3800 Olmerton Road, always online at thegoldendiamondsource.com.
Coming back at you. Now, more with JP on FanStream Sports. It's only just begun.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show, brought to you by Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com. If you missed yesterday's appearance by Medical Director Chris Lugo, you missed some really good stuff, so check that out on our podcast from yesterday. But we're going to be talking some golf right now with Bob Herrick from Sports Illustrated, senior golf writer over there, former St. Pete Times and Tampa Bay Times golf writer. What's up, Bob Herrick? How are you, my friend?
Hey, good morning, JP. I'm doing well. Thank you.
Good. How was the trip to the Masters? You still drying out some of that gear? A little wet one.
Yeah, listen, I haven't seen it like that on the way it was Saturday. That was intense, and really cold. it never got to 50, I don't think.
Yeah.
So it was a steady rain and high 40s and a bit gusty, and the course was just saturated. And they're actually it's amazing they got in as much as they did.
Yeah.
The leaders got through 6-7 holes of the third round, and then they still had to finish that on Sunday morning. So it's pretty amazing. And like almost always, it's been 40 years since they had to go to Monday.
Yeah.
When Seve won, by the way,
Right.
they managed to get it done.
Right. Well, and we'll talk about that connection to John Rahm here in a little bit. But since you mentioned the weather, we'll start with Tiger Woods. And obviously, man, in the tournaments that he's played now, going back to some of these majors, the weather has just been terrible for him. I mean, it is the golf gods have not been kind to Tiger, and that was just more than you could ask. I mean, those hills are bad enough, but when you soak them in water and then you got to walk that, plus the cold on his back, I mean, it could not have been worse for him, and I give him high marks for making the cut. I mean, that to me is almost a win for him right there. And when he withdrew, it was not a surprise to you, I'm sure, or anybody else.
I mean, he just had so much golf to play still. He was going to have like 28 or 29 holes on Sunday.
Oh, forget it.
And he looked really bad at the end there. And then, when he said he had a recurrence of the plantar fasciitis, I mean, if that's the case, well, anybody who's had that knows it's pretty painful.
Oh, it's horrible.
He's already got issues with the foot, and now you throw that in. It's like a stabbing pain with every step.
Yep.
And, he had that back in December. It's probably, you can't say for sure, but it's probably going to knock him out of the next major, the PGA next month. It's hard to believe that in 5 weeks he'll be ready to go. And then look, he's facing the same stuff. I mean, Rochester, New York in May isn't necessarily going to be balmy. It could be, but it doesn't have to be. And so, I mean, upstate New York in May can still be raw. And you're right, he's just not gotten any good fortune with the weather. Both Masters now he's played, it's been raw, cold on Saturday and Sunday. And then last year at the PGA, same thing on Saturday. It had been 80 degrees in Tulsa, like early in that week, 80, 85, even close to 90. And then it was in the 50s on Saturday. This is probably a topic for another day. But it's one of the reasons why them moving the PGA from August to May always is going to have some issues, because depending on where you go, the weather's going to be dicey.
Absolutely. And before we get to Rahm, I was just reading your article on the possible rules infraction with Brooks Koepka and his caddy Ricky Elliott, and you got some really, I think, damning quotes on this. And you talked to some people. We won't ask you to name names because they're anonymous in the story. But take the folks through that, and it's kind of, maybe to casual golf fans, it's not a big deal, but for those in the industry and know golf well, this was a pretty obvious violation, was it not? And they didn't penalize him.
Well, I mean, I think just to back up a set, the reason why there's doubt is because caddies flash club signals to TV spotters and personnel all the time.
Right.
That's how you hear on the broadcast, he's got 8-iron from 163. Well, they're not guessing at the number, and they can't tell by the loft. So somebody has to tell them. And the caddies typically know where these guys are, and they get them the number. It's a courtesy for TV. A few years ago, the tour actually tried to crack down on that because they feared about the whole giving advice thing. But it sort of like had passed. What was bad about this one is, again, I'm not accusing. I'm just reporting what others believe, But again, it looks like really Ricky Elliott mouthed 5-iron, said it aloud. Looks like Koepka, showed 5 when he took his glove off, and they went out of their way to do it. Like why would first of all, why would you do it after the shot? Usually it's before he hits the shot, so TV can tell you what he's hitting.
Right.
And look, Woodland said if I would have known that's what he hit, I would have hit the wrong club and I would have been in the water. I mean, again, this is what he said. This is what they told the rules officials, and that's what was accepted. And typically they accept the word of the players. But I had a couple of rules officials who were not there. I had a couple of caddies who were not involved. All said that looked really fishy. I had another source tell me that there was a heated discussion behind the scenes amongst the rules people on site, and the Masters overruled. And again, now this is rare that this happens. There's not that many instances where you hear a penalty for advice. But, people say, what's the big deal? Or, what does it matter? Well, the idea is that you might be, doing sort of like it might be sort of considered a sportsmanship thing. I'm trying to help this guy out. But in golf, you're charged with protecting the field. You're not supposed to help an opponent who could maybe beat somebody else who has no influence. And it's really in the weed stuff. But look, as Chambly said, it's a rule. Whether we like it or not, it's a rule. And they look like they broke the rule. And my point of that piece is if Koepka would have won, this would have dogged him.
Yeah.
I mean, this would have followed him. This would have been a big talking point. And then you throw in the live stuff because there's people that, obviously there's a lot of people that don't like live. The live people would have said, you're doing this because he's playing for live and you're picking on us. And the other people would have said, hey, this is a chance to knock a live guy. I mean, so that's why it sort of became, what made it really interesting was on Friday, it happened Thursday. Right. On Friday, the Augusta people called them in again to talk about it. So it sounds to me like they were like uncomfortable with the ruling they gave, and they wanted to go over it again.
Wow.
And they never issued another statement after that, and obviously things stood. But it's just one of those weird things in golf. There's some strange rules, and I hear, well, you never hear somebody, going after the fact in a football game. No, you wouldn't. Golf isn't football.
Right.
The
totally
competition is open for 4 days, right. And if there's a rules infraction spotted, they can still call it on you, even though the round's over.
Yeah. Fascinating stuff. By the way, read that article if you're interested in that, which you should be if you're a golf fan. Great article that Bob wrote. Got a lot of great quotes in there.
And speaking of the live, Bob, by the way, because that was like my biggest storyline going in is how are these live guys going to perform? Obviously playing in a 72-hole tournament now, and we saw how it kind of worked out for Brooks Koepka, but it felt all things considered. It was a pretty good weekend for those guys, especially with Phil competing there in the final day.
They were rested.
All right, whatever. But it was a good. I thought it was a good weekend. I got into Phil. I have to say it. I mean, regardless of everything that's happened, I got into what Phil was doing there on Sunday. I was praying that something would have happened and we could have gotten a playoff with him. But just in general, how do you feel that Augusta National kind of took to those guys, whether it's from the patron standpoint or the administration there at Augusta? How do they took to those guys this weekend?
Well, I think they tried to be above it. Yeah. There were some subtle things they did that maybe didn't look so great. But what they did was they didn't mess with the pairings, and they tried to keep it civil. They weren't going to have any sort of controversy arise from, say, putting Rory and Reed in the same group. Right. Like the live guys were paired with the more tame PGA Tour members or younger players or older players. And vice versa. I mean, now there were some things I thought got a little petty. You hardly saw any of Phil on Saturday. It took them a while to show him on Friday when he was playing pretty well. Yep. They had said in advance they weren't going to do that, and yet I got the sense that they did. They didn't shy away from talking about them when they were on, but it seemed like they were trying their best to not to not make a big deal out of them. And, that's too bad. I mean, because I think people on both sides of the issue, one of the reasons people are upset about live is because it's caused a fracture. Some really good players are not playing with really good players very often, but they are at the majors. Mm-hmm. So we get that. And then we have that, and then they're not going to show them. So I thought they acquitted themselves fine. I mean, 12 guys made the cut. Phil, Brooks, and Reed were in the top 5. You could argue that Koepka's lack of competition might hurt him.
Absolutely.
Now he had just won the week before in the Live event in Orlando. That's probably helpful. But, he hadn't played a 72-hole event in 6-8 weeks. He went to Oman for an international series event where actually he missed the cut there.
Yeah.
And he played in Saudi Arabia where he finished way down. I think it's a little bit nitpicking for me to sit here and say that a guy who, plays golf for a living and plays a lot of golf is not going to be able to handle 72 holes. But, Rahm has been in the heat of battle here a lot over the last 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's certainly fair to wonder if that played an effect.
Yeah, I want to get into that a little, Bob, because that's what I said yesterday. And I don't think it's a physical thing at all because I think Brooks is healthy now. I think it's a mental thing. These guys talk about it all the time. They're all, from 1 to 150, they can all bomb it. They can all hit great shots. It's between the years. Can you stay focused? And you're talking about the ultimate in mental toughness here. It's Masters. It's the second 9 at the Masters. It's that whole, you got to play 30 holes on Sunday. And, Brooks went 22 holes without making a birdie when he was, 13 under before that. There was a dramatic shift once he got into the heat of the competition and was in the hunt in a major. He choked. You could say any way you want it, but he choked. He had a 4-stroke lead and lost by 4. To me, the old Brooks Koepka that's playing the PGA Tour every week and going up against these guys for 72 holes and having to keep focused and every shot means so much. No, you don't get that on the Live Tour. It's a carnival. You've been out there. You see it. There's absolutely zero emotional, I think, pressure to get things done. The money's already in the bank. I think it was the difference. It's a razor's edge difference anyway. But I think Rahm having won 4 times and been in the heat all of these tournaments, living up to it, that's the winning edge for me. Would you agree or not?
Well, I think there's something to that, but I would push back on there's nothing to play for out there. Koepka's won out there twice. The one that he won last fall, I can assure you that he was sweating that one out. He was in a 3-hole playoff. He wanted to win. He hadn't won in a long time. At the end of the day, they're still competitors.
Yeah.
These guys don't like to lose at anything. And, they're feeling the heat in playing for $4 million. I don't care how much they have. I think it still matters.
Okay.
And then, he won the week before in Orlando. He got a push at the end. There's good players that he was competing against. I just think it's the cumulative thing.
Yeah.
It's the, you have not been tested that much in the last year. And look at what Rahm has done. He had won 5 times. He had a stretch of 10 worldwide events where he was never out of the top 10, and he had 4 or 5 wins in there against all different kinds of fields and courses and everything. He had won 3 times already this year. He won at Riviera, one of the best fields of the year. It was almost a major-like field.
Yeah.
So he had been there, and that that was if Brooks had succumbed to Phil. Phil hasn't played worth a lick in forever. Or if he had succumbed to, let's say, Russell Henley, who's a fine player and won in the fall in the PGA Tour, but, most people wouldn't be able to identify him in a lineup.
Yeah.
If he had lost to them, I think some of these arguments become way bigger. But he lost to a guy who's really, really good and was going to be hard to beat no matter what. So, but you're right. Look, Brooks's scores got higher each day.
Mm-hmm.
He had that long stretch of no birdies. And even if you go back to Friday when he shot 67, now look, anybody would take a 67 by playing the par 5s and 5 under. He had 3 birdies and an eagle on the par 5s, but he had no birdies anywhere else.
Yeah.
So you can if you can hit all the par 5 greens and 2 putt them to death, and don't make mistakes anywhere else, that's a pretty good formula.
Right, and that's the thing to me, and that's how Tiger won a few years ago, right? It was a few more birdies, but it's the mistakes. What do they always talk about at the Masters, right? Be patient. And in those conditions, be patient. Don't make mistakes. When you got the green light, just go ahead and make it at par 68 on all those par 5s. and let everything else take care of itself. When you get to 12, you aim between the bunkers. You don't even look at the pin. 3 years ago when Tiger won or whatever it was, that's what everybody else did wrong. I mean, Rahm, how far have we come from TPC where he waved off the caddy and said, I'm gonna hit this on the green, hit it in the water, and pissed away at players. And now he seems to have just absolutely really become a great mental player. And I love his respect for the game. You know, he talked about Sebi and the 40-year anniversary of his win, how much that meant to him. All that stuff. It's quintessential. He just, I don't know. I love the guy. I just love everything about him. I love his game. I love the way he's matured. I love his talent, and I love the way he handles himself. And I'm so glad that he won this. He deserves to be a Masters champion, in my opinion. Your thoughts?
Well, there's no question. I mean, Rahm is, he's the real deal. I think he has a little bit of a chip on his shoulder in that he was not competitive really in the majors last year after winning the U.S. Open the year before. The year before he was contending all the time. He did win the U.S. Open. Remember, he had that 6-shot lead at Memorial.
Yep.
And then tested positive for COVID.
Oh my God!
He had a couple of chances, and it was he had to withdraw. A couple of the other tournaments, he was close. I think he felt like he should have knocked off a few more wins.
Yeah.
And then last year, he only won the one time I think during the PGA Tour season, the Mexico Open, and I'm assuming he's going there in a couple of weeks to defend. But he didn't. He wasn't really a factor in the majors.
Mm-hmm.
Now, somehow in the fall he started putting it all together, and you can see that power game was really well suited for Augusta. I thought his maturity, the way he talks, the way he handles himself. This is a second language. When he went to Arizona State, which was first like 10 years ago, I believe, 11 years ago, he didn't speak any English. I mean, that guy speaks better English than we do.
He does.
And, seriously, I don't mean to make light of it, but he's a very well-spoken guy for a second language and has a lot of good thoughts. And, it's a great win for the game. I mean, I think Koepka would have been a great win for the game in other ways that are far more devious.
Yes.
But Rahm was a very deserving winner.
Bob Herrick joining us here from Sports Illustrated Golf, and just to kind of put a bow on the Live Golf thing, it has, as much as I don't like it, it certainly has given you a lot to write about. It has given more drama to the tours. It was obviously something that we talked a lot about. Even the great Jim Nantz trolling the Live Tour with this little CW comment about the crosswalk. I mean, it just adds a little spice. I'm gonna say, as much as I don't like it, it does add a little spice to some of these events.
Look, it's really the most controversial thing that's come along in golf in forever.
Yeah.
And Tiger was a very polarizing figure for a long time.
Yep.
And this is the same thing or more. What it's done is it's brought in casual people who are interested in the kind of the controversial dynamic of it all. Whether it's the Saudi funding, whether it's the greed of these guys taking all this money, whether it's the thought from some that the PGA Tour was asleep at the wheel and should have done some of these things sooner.
Yep.
Should golfers get guaranteed money? Like they're really the only athletes in sports who don't. If I'm not mistaken, tennis players get paid even if they lose in the first round of a tennis match, tennis tournament. In golf, look, now the Masters is a little different. They give an honorarium for everybody who's invited. So you are getting something if you miss the cut. But this week at Hilton Head, if you miss the cut, chances are you were there for 3 or 4 days. They allow paying spectators Tuesday through Friday, including the Pro-Am. You're expected to be in the Pro-Am, play 2 rounds, and if you miss the cut, you get 0.
Right.
And I've made that argument many, many times. I mean, for as much as Tiger brought to the tour, he started out in the same place as, the guy who's 100th on the money list on Thursday with no guarantee. Last night in the Rays game, Wander Franco's getting paid however many millions or hundreds of thousands of dollars for that game, no matter how he performs.
Right.
Compared to Fairbanks, who came in to close it. Like, in other words, their performance didn't matter in terms of their pay for that game. That it's not like that in golf. Now, some people think that that's the charm of golf, but like when you talk about the entertainment end of it, that's where it gets a little messy, and that's where the tour got caught. Because for 6-8 years, this idea of guaranteed money or taking care of the stars or having more elite events has been percolating, and they kind of just went with the status quo, and it allowed something like LIV, to come along and be this huge disruptor.
And they have to some degree. And we don't often talk about endorsements, but a lot of these players make a ton of money from their sponsors, their equipment sponsors, and everybody else. So sometimes when we say they don't get paid anything to go to these events, that's not really the case, right? I mean, even guys that
no, of course.
One of the
reasons it's one of the reasons it never got huge traction is a guy like Tiger was making plenty of money, and nobody thought that much of it. He was making $50-60 million a year, 70 off the course.
Right.
And Phil was making a lot of money, and most top 20 guys get a nice, handsome amount in endorsements for playing clubs and appearances or what have you. But, I mean, I would argue, too, Steph Curry's making a ton of money in endorsements, whether he makes a three-pointer or not.
Mm-hmm.
And he's still getting $50 million a year.
Right.
So I think the endorsement side of that is kind of off to the side. It's what are you getting for your performance? And in every other sport, the commercial aspect of it, there's a reason that LeBron makes what he makes, and all these other guys. And yet in golf, they are not guaranteed that, and yet they're the show. Yeah. They're the reason the tickets are sold, the TV revenue is there. And again, there's a part of it. This is why, like, the tour going to a bunch of no-cut events next year, I think it's the wrong idea. It's like you're actually playing into LIV's hands.
Right, I agree.
LIV has 14 no-cut events, and that's been widely criticized.
Yep.
So now the tour is going to take an event like the Arnold Palmer, which still has a small field, and maybe have a cut. Not have a cut.
Yeah.
I mean, so like, but this is the star player saying, this is how we get assured of getting money. If we're eligible for these 8 events, we're guaranteed, $1 million a year if you finish last in every one.
Yeah.
It's better than being guaranteed nothing.
Yeah.
So that's and to your original question, about LIV, this is where we are. It's created this incredible, controversy that, I hear it from the LIV people all the time. I mean, they are convinced that the PGA Tour is corrupt. They've done things wrong. This is better. And I'm just like, I wouldn't say so much that they've done things wrong or that they're corrupt. They could have done things better. But did you think that your 14 events is going to replace their 35?
Yeah.
No. I mean, there's going to be golf every week, So some of the vitriol is really misplaced, I believe. But there's no question. It's added a lot of drama to the whole scene, and it'll happen again at the PGA next month.
No doubt. Bob Herrig, Sports Illustrated. Hey, one last question. A thought on Sam Bennett, the amateur from Texas, who stole everybody's heart with his kooky little swing. He's not a big guy, but his story is fantastic. The tattoo from his dad's words, who died prematurely of early onset Alzheimer's. What a great story. I think a lot of people were rooting for Sam Bennett.
No question. I mean, it's just rare for an amateur to have success in professional golf. It's really hard. I mean, they just, they're going to school usually at that age, and he's a senior at Texas A&M. They've got a college schedule. It's just not the same. They don't play in front of galleries, and then you get in that arena at the Masters of all places, and you get yourself in the final group on Saturday. It's phenomenal, and it was a great accomplishment. And my only bad feeling for him is that he wasn't able to finish in the top 12. Because if he finishes in the top 12, that's an invite for next year. And he finished T16. I think he missed by 2 shots.
Yeah.
And, but the other thing that's interesting to me is the tour has this thing called the PGA Tour University Rankings, and they rank seniors. It's relatively new, but it's a way for them to rate seniors and give them some sort of status once they get out of college to go into Q school. Like, some guys are going to get a crack on the tour, some are going to get a crack on the Korn Ferry Tour, and he was he's number 6. So, like, I think it's the top 5 that get some sort of tour status. So he's not even assured of that yet, and yet he was 3rd in the Masters on Saturday. It's pretty wild that a guy, that it kind of shows you, how good college golf can be. There's a lot of really good players.
Yeah, and our hometown guy, Jackson Suber, who's playing on the Korn Ferry Tour right now, I think he finished in that top 5 and got that status for the Korn Ferry Tour and doing very well. So he's well on his way, and that kid can play. You've seen him play. He was got an exemption at the Valspar last year and played pretty well, but. So he might be one that takes advantage of that. Bob, as always, thank you so much for your time, my friend. Great job at the Masters, and go to SI.com, hit the golf button. You'll get all of Bob's great content right there. Thanks, partner.
No problem. Anytime. Thanks. Have a good one.
Great Bob Herrig right there. I love talking golf with him. He's so knowledgeable, and he's so good. So check out all his information. You can follow him at Twitter at Bob Herrig, Harig. Good stuff. Yeah, Jackson. He plays at Palma Sea. His dad's a member there, and he's playing well on the Korn Ferry Tour. He's gonna be on the tour at some point.
Yeah, and the other thing I didn't know, by the way, to the Sam Bennett story that I learned on Sunday, is that he doesn't get any money at all, despite the fact that he made the cut, was in the top 20. It didn't matter, but apparently though he made his money off NIL that week.
Yeah, how do you know what he made?
I'm not sure what he made, but they said that because of NIL, he's going to take home a pretty good chunk from that. So again, kind of putting 2 conversations into one, the advantages of NIL.
Yeah,
there.
because NIL, whoever, I don't know what clubs he's playing, but if it's TaylorMade can just cut him a check for whatever the hell they want.
Exactly, and I think they probably started doing that during the tournament.
Look how much, because there's actually a formula out there that these companies will actually go through a broadcast, and if he's got TaylorMade on his shirt, and he's on camera for 12 seconds, that it starts clicking. The money they have a formula where it actually clicks out, and they know exactly how much you're going to get paid. So if you're in the hunt and they're showing you a lot, you're making money, which I think is great for the players.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I love the story. It is what it is, right? But the other thing too, I thought was funny. He showed up on, I want to say Saturday or Sunday, and he had all these they asked him about his outfit, I guess, and he was like, "Yeah, I had to make a Dick's Sporting Goods run late last night because it was going to be really cold and I didn't have enough clothes for this event."
Wow.
And I'm just like, imagine that guy just walking into a random Dick's Sporting Goods in Augusta.
But with all the people, all the companies that are there, why wouldn't the representative be waiting for him? As
Seriously,
because they can do that now. I mean, years past it'd be, we can't give you anything because of your eligibility status. Maybe that's still your amateur status. They still can't do it. But I would think through the NIL they could do it.
Yeah, it looks like he, according to this article from Golf Digest, that he secured a NIL money probably in the 7 figures.
Yeah, I would think
this weekend.
That's what it would be
So
worth.
he was probably one of the bigger winners actually this weekend.
Well, prize money, he would have gotten $261,000.
Yep.
And he doesn't get any because he's an amateur. $261,000. But think if he won, $3.2 million. Oh, sorry, can't give you the check. And the second place guy would get the check. That second place dude better write a freaking check to the amateur who won. That's all I'm saying. That would be a thing you definitely should do. And going back to the I think it's fascinating about the rulings. I didn't know, Bob says that they brought him in on Friday again to talk about that. Fred Ridley, who's went into the Florida Sports Hall of Fame this year, and I did the interview with him at that event. Good, great guy, great local guy. He'll never tell me, but I wonder what that was all about. And I wonder, and I think Bob's right. I think if Augusta comes down on Brooksy in that situation, it looks heavy-handed, it looks anti-live, it looks all that. So I think that actually saved Brooks, to be honest with you. I think if he was just a regular PGA Tour member, he gets penalized there.
Probably.
I do, because I think Fred even said that when he answered the question about Greg Norman not being invited to the Masters. He said we wanted the focus on the Masters, not live golf.
Well, but I agree.
If they make that ruling against Brooks, then everybody's going to go, oh, he's a
I
LIV
agree
player.
I agree though with what Bob said though about the broadcast being a bit partial against LIV. Because what other explanation is there going into Saturday when you had Rahm, Koepka, and this is when they went to trios. Rahm, Koepka, and Sam Bennett are in a trio together.
Mm-hmm.
They have 4 featured groups now. ESPN Plus does, and the Masters.org website. 4 featured groups. Why was that group not picked as one of the featured groups?
Well, you know why.
How
I
is
think
the
you're
top
right.
3 not in the featured groups?
Let me ask you this: how many shots did you see Fred Couples hit? I'd say about 25, maybe more. Fred Couples was all
Good
over
amount.
the broadcast. How many did you see Phil Mickelson hit? Not many.
I never saw any of Phil's live on Sunday.
Yeah, and he was 8 under. Fred finished.
And he was playing
made
better
the
than
cut,
anybody.
obviously, and was the oldest to ever make the cut.
Yeah, and usually they'll do like little cutaways, while Phil's waiting in the clubhouse, like, little live look-ins and stuff. They never got any of that on Phil.
Waiting for a play. Well, the playoff wasn't imminent.
No, but sometimes he went into the clubhouse as the technical leader.
That's right.
Right?
Yep.
They never showed him at all after that, and he had a connection to John Rahm, I believe, as well, by the way.
Well, he's a 3-time champion.
He's a 3-time champion.
Let's think of, who else is, there's not many 3-time champions, but, if it was Tiger who was in the hunt coming up, you would have seen every
shot of the guy.
Every shot. If it was, I'm trying to think of somebody else that's comparable. There's not many comparable to Phil. Obviously, he's won 3 Masters. But, even we know how the Masters loves Phil, or used to love Phil.
Yeah.
Used to love Phil. And last year, he said he got invited. He didn't want to say he didn't get invited. But damn well they did not want Phil Mickelson at the Masters last year. You know damn well. And it is what it is.
I don't have to like it, though. I don't have to like it one bit.
I'm not sure I like it either.
Even other guys who are
you should be treated.
Even earlier on the tournament when it was wide open, obviously, I don't recall seeing a single Cam Smith shot. This is one of the best players in the entire world. He's top 5 in the world.
Not many.
I don't recall seeing a single shot of the guy had.
No.
I just don't see it. I don't recall seeing much of Dustin Johnson. Some of the bigger names that are there, I don't recall seeing it.
at all.
No, they all disappeared.
Rory, even though, DJ made the cut and finished T48. They never even mentioned
he
him
was not
on
even
Saturday.
mentioned.
Like, not even once.
No.
And I understand he wasn't in the hunt, but normally.
No, they actually, to their credit, down the stretch there, and maybe it was because there just wasn't many guys left playing, I did see a good dose of Patrick Reed later on Sunday.
Yeah.
Not that I really wanted to see Patrick Reed necessarily. I would have rather have just seen Phil's shots, but it is what it is.
They had to show him.
It is what it is. What was interesting to me was the PGA Tour on Twitter. Like, they don't have an obligation to post any of these guys.
No.
It's the PGA Tour's Twitter.
Right.
They posted one time a graphic going into Sunday of Brooks Koepka being the leader, put his picture up there on everything, but it was the most, mundane caption on Twitter that there possibly could be. Brooks Koepka is the leader after 54 holes at Augusta National. It was very, very mundane. But the fact that they actually posted him on their Twitter account was telling to me.
Well, I think as much as we feel the competition between the two tours inside these places, PGA Tour looks at LIV as an existential threat. They do. You're trying to take all of our players, you're trying to take all of our good players, and you're just throwing money at people that we can't do because we actually have to, run a real business here where you are not running a real business. You're just throwing money at something to sports wash or whatever you want to say. So I think they look at it and listen, if anybody was trying to steal your business or take your livelihood or destroy what you've tried to build all your life, would you not be a little pissed off? And would you not want to fight for your survival? Of course you would.
Well, I'm not sure what the Masters has to do with that. I'm not sure what ESPN has to do with that.
I think the Masters is clearly aligned with the traditions of golf, very much. Obviously, they're the leader in that. And, I think Fred would, coming up as being an amateur champion and giving his whole career to, promoting the game of golf in a larger sense, looks at LIV as, what it is. it's a money grab for the players. It's just not
You just
part
can't,
of the
but
tradition of the game.
you just can't convince me that it wouldn't have been in your best interest as a TV product on Sunday to show more of the pairing of Phil Mickelson and Jordan Spieth. By the way, he was playing with Jordan Spieth. We forget that. And at one point, Jordan Spieth was in the hunt as well.
Yeah.
Okay, you put those two big names together, and you mean to tell me I couldn't get any TV coverage on those two?
It seems pretty petty.
You take everything else out of the equation. How's that a smart move from a TV network standpoint?
Well, I think the TV networks say we're still going to get the eyeballs. Whether
true.
we put them on or not, we're still going to get the eyeballs. And I think it's. But I also think it's an ongoing shot to these players. Like, you have to understand, if you're going to stay on that tour, and that's where you want to be, you're going to be anonymous until, and even when you play in the majors, you're not going to get any stroke whatsoever.
Is that worth hundreds of millions? I'd argue yes.
It's not costing them money. I don't think the Masters showing more fill would have given them
no.
more
I'm talking about
I'm
talking about if you're the player. If you're the player and that's the trade-off, I think you're okay with that.
I don't think you are. I think Brooks Koepka has even said that he is. And a lot of these guys are rethinking what they did, and now that they're playing on the Carnival
because
Tour,
the things I think that they take the money out of the standpoint, the other things that Live offers, the PGA Tour is now offering.
Yeah, but still in their format of, and I agree with Bob. Don't do these no-cut events. Don't stoop to what
I don't like that.
Don't stoop to what the Live Golf thing. And God, don't go to teams. Don't do. I mean, there's a couple things that Live is doing that I think are good and have added money and guaranteed money, which you can do with still having a cut. You can still have guaranteed money for the players with still having a cut. And by the way, who wants to? I mean, do the players even want to be there when they're 25 strokes behind? Who's watching them? Who cares? Who freaking cares? Like, most of these guys, God, I'm playing awful. Get me the hell out of here. Let me go back and practice. Are they going to allow guys to withdraw? Guys don't want to play.
Well, that'd be the thing, though.
20 strokes back, they don't want to play.
And would that be the thing, though? If you withdraw at that moment, is the trade-off, okay, guess what? You're not going to get paid. You have to finish.
Yeah, which, again,
Which almost feels humiliating in a sense.
Why are we making? If you're having a bad week and you can't find your stroke, and I mean, why have the no cut? I don't want to see those guys. They're having a bad week. What do I want to watch? I want to watch some guy hook it left all day long. I'll go play myself. Jeez, I mean, it's no fun. All right, we'll take a break. We'll come back on the other side. We're going to get into some lightning talk, and then 11:15, Matt Joyce is going to join us from Bally Sports, son, to talk about your undefeated 10-0 Rays. Lots more coming. Brought to you by Italiano Insurance, American Mortgage Services, the Gold and Diamond Source, and, of course, Jeeves Law Group and Bay Area Modern Medical Center. Back in 3. Stay with us. JP here for the Gold and Diamond Source. There is no better place to shop for jewelry than the Gold and Diamond Source. We know that. They are the family jewelers, and they will treat you like family. It's always a fun experience. Just head on over there. You will not find a better selection anywhere in the world. It's a jewelry super center. They've got engagement rings, necklaces, earrings, pendants, chains, and thousands of diamonds to choose from. They're all right there. They don't have to ship anything in. They have jewelry for every price range as well. Guys, if you're looking for some of those baller watches, they have a great selection. They have new and used. You can get some great collectibles there as well. And if you're looking for some more affordable gold and diamond jewelry, you have to check out the Emily collection from Emily Johnson Weintraub. Emily created this collection for people who want to wear and stack elaborate jewelry but don't want to pay the big ticket prices. You got to check this stuff out. The Golden Diamond Source has plenty of options to accommodate any budget, interest-free financing for up to 5 years, and a layaway program, 20% down and only 6 monthly payments. And this month only, get up to 15% off the March birthstone, which is aquamarine. Like we always say, keep it local, folks. The Golden Diamond Source, Julie and Steve Weintraub, such great philanthropic benefactors. So let's keep it all local here when we have the opportunity, right? It's the Golden Diamond Source, 3800 Olmerton Road, always online at thegoldendiamondsource.com. All right, this is for all you guys who don't want to go to the gym and do 5,000 crunches. At Bay Area Modern Medical Center, you can get on the new True Body machine where you can reduce fat and tone up your muscle. It's like doing 54,000 crunches in just 15 minutes. Define your body as you see fit. True Body offers personalized muscle stimulation that delivers the equivalent of those 54,000 crunches in just 15 minutes. Just get in touch with them at Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com. Chris Lugo and the team over there will set you up on TrueBody and get amazing results. Non-invasive with comfortable and little to no pain and zero downtime. You can isolate and target those areas that you want to improve and treat multiple areas simultaneously. It's an amazing machine, so check it out at Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com. Well, Fitz the mortgage guy did it again. A listener heard his ad, was going to another big bank, but called Scott Fitzgerald at American Mortgage Services of Tampa, and Fitz saved him $618 on his monthly payment. Are you kidding me? Folks, that's big money. Rates are going up, they're going down, they're going all over the place. Scott will shop your loan and save you lender fees and get the best rates. Email him, scott@amstampa.com, or call 813-294-7595. That's Fitz, the mortgage guy. Lots of stuff going on right now, and these rates are going all over the place. You need somebody knowledgeable in the market that will work hard for you and get you the best deal. That's my man, Scott. He's done 3 loans for me, done thousands of loans for local folks here, works with a lot of the coaches and players in the area. He's the guy. 813-294-7595, or go to scott@amstampa.com. Insurance coverage can be confusing and expensive. I mean, where do you start? Which companies can you count on to pay out fast and fair? Well, call the great folks at Italiano Insurance. It's a family-owned business. Jeff and Nat Italiano are carrying on the 60-year-plus tradition of giving amazing customer service and giving back to the community through their annual backpack drive for needy students and their support of the local pediatric cancer patients. But it's the customer service that sets them apart. They can shop all your insurance needs and save you big-time money. Don't hop on the internet and waste time looking at some bogus reviews. Talk to knowledgeable agents and not some voice-generated robot. These are confusing times for homeowners, and Italiano's team of experienced professionals can provide the right coverage for every situation: home, auto, business, life. It's Italiano for all the pieces of your life. Call 813-877-7799 or go to ItalianoInsurance.com.
Let's go. Right now. Back to the show with JP on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show. Matt Joyce, Valley Sports son, former Ray, going to join us here. Former Rays All-Star, might add that. Going to join us here in just a few minutes. Real quick, and we'll get back to Lightning after Matt as well. But the Lightning tonight will be hosting the Toronto Maple Leafs, the team that they will play in the first round of the playoffs. So it's kind of a weird night tonight. We talked about this yesterday with Dave Randorf. How is John Cooper going to handle this in terms of, how important is this game? How important are the matchups? Trying to find out what the matchups are going to look like. How you're going to match up against this team when it's really a meaningless game. It's a meaningless game. How much import do you put into this game? Do you want to get your team back playing the way it should play and get some confidence going into the postseason? I think it's going to be very interesting to see how they play it. Tanner Jeannot will not play, and will not play in the first round of the
Game 1.
Game 1. I think everybody feels like it's probably a couple weeks at least away for him to play. So, but we just don't know. It's a knee injury, and we just don't know. Obviously, if it was a torn ACL or something like that, I think we would know that by now. But, maybe not. They keep everything close to the vest as far as what that means. That means Mikey Eyssimont is probably going to get a lot more run. He's a very different player than Tanner Jeannot. Jeannot was brought here for a reason, to be the muscle, to be the guy that people fear, to protect the other players. He's a playoff kind of guy. That's why they got him.
And I fear the Lightning are missing that ingredient right now in this team.
Yeah, they are.
That's the one thing that gives me pause too. I'm not sold on that bottom 6 right now.
Yeah, they're going to
have to be.
And we're going. Nick Paul needs to step up.
Yes.
Nick Paul needs to step up. I mean, your stars got to be your stars. That's granted. And we're talking about the playoffs. Tonight, what does it mean? I'll be very interested to see how the players handle this. My gut feeling is they're going to want to go out and show who they really are.
You don't want to get their ass kicked again like this.
No.
It's I don't care if it's meaningless. It's demoralizing.
5-1, 6-1 is starting to be a little embarrassing.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like they've given up 4, 5, 6, 7
19 goals on 3 games.
Yeah, they've started to give up 5 or more goals like a lot this season. Yeah. More so than they have in recent years, and it's not even close.
Yeah.
Like they can't be okay with that.
No, I think they've got to be better tonight. They've got to get back to their structure and play the way they're supposed to play. But I don't think we're going to see any fisticuffs tonight. I don't think we're going to see any.
No, please.
I don't I don't think we're going to see any type of that type of game. But maybe Toronto comes out and says, you know what, we're going to show you how physical we're going to be in the playoffs, and we're going to take it to you tonight, and we'll go into that series, and you're going to know who you're playing. I don't know. I think it's going to be very interesting.
Yeah. It's on ESPN, by the way, too.
ESPN.
So remember that for your TV sets tonight.
Yeah, it's not. But by the way, Dave texted me yesterday. Bally's will have the entire first round, which is good.
Which is beautiful. After that, the coverage gets spotty.
Yeah, I mean, as they go further into the playoffs, remember last year, I'm just like, ugh. I know the fans hate it. They hate it. They hate the ESPN.
No, it's the TNT broadcast. The intermission reports that always just grind at me a little bit.
Yeah, they seem to want it.
I'm not an Eddie O guy. Let me just put it that way. I'm not an Eddie O guy.
I can just feel the producers like, we want this to be like NBA tonight. We want the Barkley Shaq, Ernie Johnson type feel.
Well, here's the problem.
It's hockey.
Paul Bissonnette was a fourth-line AHLer for most of his career. He ain't Charles Barkley.
Right, exactly.
So I'm sorry I don't have that same connection to Paul Bissonnette.
But you could see that's what they're trying to get, and it's like, no, it's hockey. We want to talk about the game. We don't want to talk about what guys are eating, before and after the game. No, sorry. It's a little different. So that's tonight at 7 o'clock. I will be there at Emily Arena. I'm sure you will be as well. A lot of folks, wondering what this game is going to be like, and we shall see. All right, quick break. When we come back, Matt Joyce is going to join us from Valley Sports Sun to talk some Rays baseball and the 10-0 start. Stay with us. Insurance coverage can be confusing and expensive. I mean, where do you start? Which companies can you count on to pay out fast and fair? Well, call the great folks at Italiano Insurance. It's a family-owned business. Jeff and Nat Italiano are carrying on the 60-year-plus tradition of giving amazing customer service and giving back to the community through their annual backpack drive for needy students and their support of the local pediatric cancer patients. But it's the customer service that sets them apart. They can shop all your insurance needs and save you big-time money. Don't hop on the internet and waste time looking at some lender fees and get the best rates. Email him, scott@amstampa.com, or call 813-294-7595. That's Fitz, the mortgage guy. Lots of stuff going on right now, and these rates are going all over the place. You need somebody knowledgeable in the market that will work hard for you and get you the best deal. That's my man, Scott. He's done 3 loans for me, done thousands of loans for local folks here, works with a lot of the coaches and players in the area. He's the guy. 813-294-7595, or go to scott@amstampa.com.
Ladies and gentlemen,
let's rock. This is FanStream Sports with JP.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show. Let's talk some Rays baseball with former Rays All-Star and local hero Matt Joyce of Valley Sports Sun now. What's up, Matty? How you doing, buddy?
I don't know about the local hero part.
Yes, you are.
You are definitely a local boy.
Well, you and Doug both, man. And with Rich Hollenberg up, there was, as Doug rightly pointed out, there was a lot of hair product and some great hair going on that set this weekend, man. I was impressed.
Doug's got some good one-liners, man. He's fun to work with. Both of them have been a lot of fun and awesome. I told him I feel like a rookie again, so I'm keeping an eye out for the rookie hazing.
Yes, you definitely. I thought you fit in well, my friend. Did a great job, and boy, this team. Man, this is fun to watch. A 10-0 start. There's nothing they're doing poorly. It's crazy. Have you ever been a part of a team that has been on this kind of hot streak?
Man, not to start the season. I remember with the Rays, we started out 0-8.
That's right.
Which was the same year. Yeah, which was the same year that we ended up making the playoffs.
and that was the infamous game 162.
Yeah.
Where Longo hit that homer, but yeah, we started out 0-8, and everybody was like, "Oh, it's the worst team ever. Count them out," And so it's such a long season that you never really know. But man, 10 games where every part of your team is firing on all cylinders. I don't know if I've been a part of something like that. Maybe with the Braves for a hot minute there, but this is incredible, man. It's fun to watch, like you said.
And can you kind of speak to, because there's a lot of people on the outside who want to make a big deal about the level of competition the Rays played there in the first 9 games. You played in the league. Can you just speak to how difficult, it doesn't matter who you're playing in this league, they're all MLB players, how difficult it is to execute like the Rays have for that stretch, no matter who they're playing?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, that was something that I mentioned as well, where it's like, hey, realistically, we know that they're better than the Nationals. We know they're better than the Tigers. We know they're better than the A's. And obviously, these are some of the teams that are going through rebuilding and really, not viewed as some of the toughest competition. But at the end of the day, they're still big leaguers. These are still some of the best players in the world, that they're competing against. And it was flat out domination. In all parts of the game. And yeah, to be able to go on a run like that consistently is special. It's really, really special. It's really fun. Obviously, you had a lot of different guys chipping in. And so when that's going on, like you're cheering for each other, everybody's having fun, everybody's chipping in. Seems like everything was going right. And obviously it leads to a 10-0 victory. I think a lot of people were, saying, hey, all right, this is their first real test with the Red Sox coming in town, yesterday and for this 4-game series. And obviously they still walked away with a victory. They didn't put up as many runs, obviously, as they did over the weekend. But still, they're able to do a lot of things right that's going to keep them in a lot of ball games. And then it's just a matter of, all right, who's going to get the big hit here? And they walked away with it last night.
Yeah, and it was Brandon Lau that got the big hit last night, 3 straight games that he's homered, and when that dude gets hot, watch out. But talk a little bit about that at bat. What's it like when you're in a battle with a pitcher like that, a 10-pitch battle where you're fouling off his best stuff, and then you get that one and you groove it, home run like that? Take me through that whole at bat from a hitter standpoint.
Yeah, I was watching from home, man, and I got chills.
Yeah.
It reminded me of a big home run that I hit with the Rays when Garza was pitching, and he finished that no-hitter, and I hit a grand slam against Scherzer. But, it's such a good feeling to be able to battle and then finally get a mistake and capitalize on it and come away with a big game-winning hit. But, yeah, you just saw Bilal, the last series against the A's, I thought he did a much better job with his timing. He was seeing the ball better. He drew a bunch of walks, obviously drove a couple home runs out of the park. And then, this at bat where you get 10 pitches, I always tell the pitchers their most important pitch is the first pitch of the bat. Like if you get ahead, then you have a lot more flexibility and options, right? But if you throw a ball one, now I have an idea of, all right, this is your release point. This is his release point. And now I have a better idea of timing, right? So I can time you up a little bit better. I'm going to see the ball a little bit better. I have an idea of, hey, okay, maybe his fastball has a little two-seam, or it's cutting, or slider had a little bit more depth, right? So every pitch that I see, I think the favor goes to the hitter a little bit more, because now I have a better idea, right? Like I have better timing, I get better feel. And so I think you kind of saw that with Bilal and that through that at bat. His timing was a little bit off. He fought off a couple tough pitches, close pitches, and then finally got a mistake. And I always tell the guys, you make your money on the pitcher's mistakes. It's hard to hit a bad pitch good. It's hard to hit, pitcher's pitch good. But when they make the mistakes, we gotta make them pay, and he did.
Yeah. And I thought Fairbanks did a great job closing. But I'll go back to that moment where Poche got in some trouble, loaded the bases with a couple of walks, which I thought he was getting squeezed a little bit there. But, bases loaded for Devers, who's just been fantastic, but not against Poche. And I thought Poche got away with a couple pitches there, especially that last one. I couldn't believe he let that go past. What was going on with that at-bat? Because I know Devers, he's 0 for 8 against Poche, so Poche definitely has his number.
Yeah, It seemed like Devers just got a little excited.
Yeah.
Boucher threw a slider first pitch that backed up, and it just seemed like Devers, man. I mean, sometimes that's how he swings. He just comes unglued, and I mean, he does a lot better job of connecting it when he's swinging that hard than I did. But yeah, I mean, obviously Devers, he had a rough night, but he's a really special talent. And Boucher did a great job of attacking. I mean, you got to stay in attack mode. Hey, okay, obviously you're going to have your walks, you're going to have things that don't go your way, but like you gotta, in that situation, you got to go at him, you got to go after him, and I think he did a good job. It just, Devers seemed a little off last night, and maybe for me, there's just certain guys that you don't see well. And it seems like Boucher is one of those guys for Devers.
No doubt. Matt Joyce joining us here.
Yeah, and also, getting off to the quick start that they have. I mean, we've been saying, and I think they're going to be way better than this, but if you go 500 the rest of the way, you're a 90 to 95 win team at the least, and you're in the playoffs. So, how important it is, but also not having to play the Yankees and the Red Sox and the Blue Jays 18 times this year with the schedule changes. How much do you think that helps a team like the Rays and some of these better teams in the league kind of expand the gap a little bit?
Yeah, you heard it from Kevin Cash last night after the game. He's like, yeah, I'm happy that we don't have to play these guys, 15 whatever times it is anymore, and 18 times throughout the season. But I mean, that division is so deep. It's so stacked. I mean, you're competing with two teams, and even the Toronto Blue Jays nowadays, teams that are willing to spend, crazy amount of money to go win, the Yankees and the Red Sox. And obviously, like I said, Toronto Blue Jays really have a good team this year as well. And so, like, when you're battling it out, amongst your division, amongst yourselves, it's you're beating each other up, right? And everybody's a good team. So it makes it really hard to have great records. So I like the move that they made where let's open it up. Let's get these teams to play other teams across the country a little bit more. And I think it's good for the fans. You see some different teams coming into town, and as opposed to the same old team, the same old players. So I'm excited for that rule and difference and change in the game.
Matt Joyce joining us here. Matt, obviously even the Rays said in the offseason they wanted to find a big left-handed bat, but the deals, sometimes it's better to be patient and don't take a bad deal. And they're being patient, and they said, okay, you guys, it's on you. Go get it. We're giving you an opportunity now, to get your at-bats and prove we don't need to go find somebody. And these guys, Josh Lowe, Brandon Lau, these guys have answered the bell. Wander Franco. Do you think that the fact that the club had faith in these guys and kind of challenged them to go out there and nail down your spot has kind of given them an extra boost to say, okay, let's go do it? And they've answered it well, obviously.
Yeah. Don't forget about Luke Raley. He's going to be a big part of this team and this offense. He's made some really nice adjustments with his mechanics. And to your point, I mean, the Rays really looked around. I think they had some interest in some guys, and listen, we know that they are very strict on their budget. They want to work with a certain amount of budget, and that's what they stick to. And if it doesn't fit, then hey, we can't afford you.
Right.
And so they did again today. Granted, I don't think a lot of people realized, that they had two big left-handed bats that were just kind of sitting and waiting in the wing. With Luke Raley and Josh Lowe. Obviously, everybody knew Wander Franco was extremely talented, and we just had to keep him healthy. But yeah, those guys have made some really nice adjustments, and I think there's a lot to be said for allowing a hitter to be comfortable and getting consistent play time, and allowing them the freedom to say, hey, listen, you got it, you got this job, and it gives the hitter a lot of confidence. So I was like, all right, they believe in me. Let's go show them why. Right. Yeah. And so I think that goes a long way, man. And I think you're starting to see the effects of it.
All right, Matty, great stuff, my man. Appreciate your time as always. And thought you did a great job this week. And we look forward to seeing you the rest of the way on Bally Sports Sun. Thanks, partner. Appreciate it.
Yeah, should be fun. Look forward to it, guys. Let's keep it going.
The hair competition is going to be tough, though. I don't know. Gonna be very tough with that group. Thanks, Matty. Appreciate it.
Okay, buddy.
Yeah. God, it's so fun to watch this team play, and I think Matty makes a great point there when you say to these guys, look, we believe in you. You don't have to bat 1,000. You know, you don't have to, because you go up there and you're like, God, I got to hit 350 or I'm out of this game. That's too much. I mean, nobody does. It's hard. It's a freaking hard. It's a game of failure. And so to give them that confidence, they've answered.
And I felt yesterday, by the way, what was really telling, Harold Ramirez was back in the lineup yesterday against a righty. And there was no Josh Lowe in the lineup, if you recall. That typically would be Josh Lowe in the lineup there against the righty. Kevin Cash goes back with Harold Ramirez, and I'll bet, I mean, Kevin Cash they love their numbers and all that, but I have to think the effort that he showed the day prior probably got him another game there. Yeah. I think that might have helped. I mean, that was my takeaway. I don't know, maybe Josh Lowe was dinged up and I missed it or something. I don't know. But the fact that I saw Harold in there against a righty back-to-back days, I thought because of what he did the day prior got him back in that lineup, and I think that's that competition right there. He's fighting for his spot.
I'm glad he was rewarded for that, and you go with a guy that's hot instead of the analytics.
And he could have gone with Josh. I mean, Josh Lowe's hitting 364. Yeah. It was just, but I'm just saying, I think that might have been a big deal to Kevin Cash that this guy really busted his ass the day before. I'm going to go give him another look.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know, what did Harold do last night?
He went 0-for-3, but, he went 0-for-3, but, I mean, you got him in the lineup.
Bad move. But you win the game, like everything changes, right?
Kevin Cash is having the easiest time managing this team, though, right now. I mean, he's admitted it. I mean,
there's not a whole lot of high pressure pitching changes that he has to make.
You just got to let him go. Yeah. You just got to let him go. That's it.
Yeah, last night, was the first time that he really had to manage in a tight game. Well, there was the one other one they came back and won 10-7.
Yeah, and I thought it was interesting. He kept it all from the left-handed side. 4 lefties in a row. He didn't change the look up, really. I mean, guys are going harder, slower, whatever, but he kept it from the same side the entire time all night until Fairbanks.
Well, I guess it was pretty hefty lineup of lefties anyway. Not really.
It wasn't really because we had lefties starting the game. I looked at it because I was like, that's ballsy going with 4 lefties like that, but it worked out. He's pushing every button right now.
Yeah, no question about it. That's why they're 10-0. They'll go again tonight. Sugar Shane, your boy, 640 against Whitlock, who is making his first start of the year, but had a pretty good year last year. I was just looking at some of his numbers. I'm not sure why he missed his first start, but Garrett Whitlock, 6'5", 225. Was 12-6. Was that last year? It was 4-2 last year with a 3.45. The year before he was 8-4 with a 1.96. So pretty good pitcher here. Hasn't had a whole lot of sustained success. I guess he must have been injured last year, maybe he had 31 games last year and only 9 starts. So I guess he's kind of been a hybrid starter.
Yeah, and he's been one of those big bulk guys.
Yeah. Well, he's going to start tonight. Talented pitcher. He had a whip last year of 1.02 and an average against of 222, 82 strikeouts in how many innings? 78 innings pitched. So good numbers.
Yeah, but I definitely want to see. I'm anxious to see Shane tonight because, I mean, I thought in the Detroit game, I thought he grew into that game by about the 4th inning. He felt comfortable to me, and I don't think he really got his best stuff in Washington until the 5th inning. And by then, it's like you're just cleaning up the rest of the game and you're moving out. So I want to see if Shane gets a better start with his command this time out. Because, I mean, that's the amazing thing is they're 10-0, and your ace, your all-star game starter, has probably pitched the worst of anybody in that rotation so far. Is that fair?
He's 2-0 with a 1.50.
It does. No, but my eye test was a little bit different.
I think you're right. I think we've seen him better.
I've seen him better dominant. Compared to I mean, when you're compared to Rasmussen and what Springs are doing,
it's ridiculous.
I mean, we're talking about the best in baseball, those two guys. So maybe it's unfair, but I think I want to see Shane if he can get back to what we saw a little bit more last year and later in those outings.
Yeah, he could definitely. That Red Sox lineup will challenge him.
I think it'll amp him up. Maybe that's what it was. Just more of a little challenge. Will amp him up a little bit. The fastball velocity, if you're into all that stuff, it's up by a full mile per hour this year over last year.
Yeah, he's pretty consistently sitting at 99.
So he's starting to amp him up there. He's throwing more in the 100. So I think the stuff has been there. I think it's the command that hasn't been as sharp as we've seen so far. But this is a good challenge for him.
Yeah, we'll see. That'd be fun to watch. It's appointment television now. I mean, you got to until they lose, especially.
What? I'm so mad at myself now.
What'd you do now?
See, now I'm really mad at myself because you already brought up the fact that I didn't wear my Rays stuff today. I made it a point in my head to wear my Sugar Shane jersey every single day he's pitching. I made it a point to wear it to the show, and I completely forgot about it this morning.
If they lose tonight, it is all on you.
It is all on me.
It is no
because I wore it last week when you were on virtually, so you haven't seen this beautiful thing in person yet.
No, I have not. But I did. Yeah, I saw it on camera. By the way, the Bally's app.
You had more rough experiences with the Bally's app,
bruh. And then it goes off in the middle of the post-game show. If it doesn't end right at the 3-hour mark, you'll watch the first half of the post-game show, and then it dumps out. Then you got to go to the post-game show, and I hit the post-game show, and it was the post-game show from the final of the A's. So now I got to scroll down and go get the right post-game show because it just says post-game. And then, so this post-game down here. Click that one, and then the fast forward and the rewind is you can't scroll. You don't see what's going on. You just see it's blank screen. Mm-hmm. And in most fast forwards, you can see what, and then you can stop pixels, when you see what when the game starts again or the pass. It doesn't do that. It's very
as relates to the other stuff though.
Seems very.
I'm starting to think some of this is user error over there, because I know how you are with technology.
Incredibly possible.
Okay,
incredibly possible.
Because I had to set up Bally Sports Sun on Easter so I could watch the game at my mom's house because she doesn't have Spectrum.
Right.
So I had to get the app and sign into my account and everything, and I had a flawless time with it. Flawless. So I'll defend Bally's a little bit there.
I miss my Spectrum. Oh, well, I will say that. I miss my Spectrum. But I don't miss the $275 a month bill.
I'm not paying anywhere near that.
Ridiculous.
So. I'm on that rookie deal with Spectrum.
Yeah, I'm like, what do you mean? That's a freaking car payment, bro. And for what? There's 90% of the crap on there.
So you don't have any. So you don't have any streaming service?
No, I have YouTube TV.
Should have gotten DirecTV Stream.
No, I had issues with that too. The DirecTV issues were terrible.
If you've got issues with everything, then I'm pointing the finger over here.
No, the DirecTV thing was just awful. I mean, awful. Constantly going out. I had Spectrum Wi-Fi, and then I got the DirecTV because of Bally's. Because it had the Rays game on it.
Right.
But it was, constantly going out. Terrible. And then I went and looked at all the comments. And, you can look at DirecTV Stream. They got 2.5 stars. It's not just me. Everybody's like, this is garbage. And, yeah. So, no, I get YouTube TV, and I got the Bally's app, which is great. It's funny because I get it better on my phone than I do on my home TV with Spectrum Wi-Fi, which is weird. I was watching it, it worked so much better in Colorado than it did at home. So maybe Spectrum again, Wi-Fi. But
so your backup option is the phone? I mean, you have a laptop right there.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
Would you rather watch it on the phone?
Yeah. Well, I was out in a bar in Colorado. I'm not bringing my laptop to the bar.
Obviously, yeah.
I've seen geeks that do that. I'm not freaking bringing my laptop to the bar. Nerd. No, not doing that. But with my phone, you can watch it just fine. But it's great to be able to watch it out of market and watch it, I'm freaking on the slopes in the line watching Bally's baseball. That's pretty.
You were repping out there. You had the Rays on the phone while you were out and about. You're
going my Stamkos jersey
down
on.
the slopes in the Stamkos jersey.
That repping the captain, absolutely did that.
Which, by the way, 1,000th game tonight.
Yeah. That's right. Game 1. I'm sure we'll have another video.
There's going to be a I don't know how many more pregame things we could do for Stamkos this year. I don't know what else we can do. What other gifts can we give this guy?
I don't know it's going to be a little great. What else can we do? That is true. We've got to come up with another video for 1,000 games. Well, I guess they'll just piggyback off the ones they've already run, which have been fantastic. All right, let's take a quick break. When we come back, we got some comments we want to get to, so we'll get you guys in the comment section. Want to talk a little Bucks before we get out of here. It's starting to look more and more like the Buccaneers are going to have an opportunity to get a quarterback in this draft in the first round. Should they pull the trigger? At this point, I'm a hell yes. You got to get a quarterback long term. So we'll talk about that when we come back. We are brought to you by the Jeeves Law Group, JEEVES lawgroup.com. Scott Jeeves gave him a call yesterday. He helped me out with a little matter that I'm dealing with, and that's what they do over there. Great personal service, not like these big law firms that won't call you back. Scott called me back within 10 minutes, and that's the way they are. And it's not just because I know him. That's the way they do business over there. A personal approach, and you will get that personal touch. So go to JeevesLawGroup.com and contact them through the website. Back in 3. Law Group. Have you been injured in an accident, in an auto accident, truck accident, motorcycle accident, at work, or at a place of business? Well, call the Jeeves Law Group and get the personal attention that you deserve. I made the mistake many, many years ago with going with one of the bigger law firms, the national law firms. And let me tell you, getting a call back from those folks was next to impossible. Weeks and weeks would go by, never get a call back. That doesn't happen with the Jeeves Law Group. Personal attention is what they're all about. When you call the Jeeves Law Group, you will be part of the family. They will represent you in a vigorous and aggressive way against the insurance companies. These larger companies will promise bigger settlements, but it's the Jeeves Law Group that will get you the best results. If you're tired of dealing with these bigger law firms, check out the Jeeves Law Group. Go to JeevesLawGroup.com, tell them JP sent you, get a free consultation. It's the Jeeves Law Group. Scott Jeeves has been representing clients in the Tampa Bay area for over 25 years. Give them a call. It's a free call, 727-894-2929, 727-894-2929, or go to JeevesLawGroup.com. Hey guys, JP here for the Gold and Diamond Source. There is no better place to shop for jewelry than the Gold and Diamond Source. We know that. They are the family jewelers, and they will treat you like family. It's always a fun experience. Just head on over there. You will not find a better selection anywhere in the world. It's a jewelry super center. They've got engagement rings, necklaces, earrings, pendants, chains, and thousands of diamonds to choose from. They're all right there. They don't have to ship anything in. They have jewelry for every price range as well. Guys, if you're looking for some of those baller watches, they have a great selection. They have new and used. You can get some great collectibles there as well. And if you're looking for some more affordable gold and diamond jewelry, you have to check out the Emily collection from Emily Johnson Weintraub. Emily created this collection for people who want to wear and stack elaborate jewelry but don't want to pay the big ticket prices. You got to check this stuff out. The Gold and Diamond Source has plenty of options to accommodate any budget, interest-free financing for up to 5 years, and a layaway program, 20% down and only 6 monthly payments. And this month only, get up to 15% off the March birthstone, which is aquamarine. Like we always say, keep it local, folks. The Gold and Diamond Source, Julie and Steve Weintraub, such great philanthropic benefactors. So let's keep it all local here when we have the opportunity, right? It's the Gold and Diamond Source, 3800 Olmerton Road, always online at thegoldendiamondsource.com. Ladies and gentlemen, are you looking to lose weight or just lean up for bathing suit season where there are so many diets and chiropractors and weight loss clinics out there? You don't know where to start, right? We'll start at Bay Area Modern Medical Center. Chris Lugo, PA, and his professional staff will devise a personal plan for you that gets results and will help you keep the weight off. Everybody metabolizes food and supplements differently. Many of these other approaches are designed for the masses. So how's that going to work for you specifically? It's not. Chris will spend one-on-one time with you to find out what works best for you so the weight comes off safely without the use of harmful drugs and side effects. Call 844-977-3477 or go to BAMMC.com. Tell them JP sent you for priority scheduling. 844-977-3477 or BAMMC.com. Insurance coverage can be confusing and expensive. I mean, where do you start? Which companies can you count on to pay out fast and fair? Well, call the great folks at Italiano Insurance. It's a family-owned business. Jeff and Nat Italiano are carrying on the 60-year-plus tradition of giving amazing customer service and giving back to the community through their annual backpack drive for needy students and their support of the local pediatric cancer patients. But it's the customer service that sets them apart. They can shop all your insurance needs and save you big-time money. Don't hop on the internet and waste time looking at some bogus reviews. Talk to knowledgeable agents and not some voice-generated robot. These are confusing times for homeowners, and Italiano's team of experienced professionals can provide the right coverage for every situation: home, auto, business, life. It's Italiano for all the pieces of your life. Call 813-877-7799 or go to ItalianoInsurance.com.
Pure Sports. JP is back on.
Welcome back.
FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show, brought to you by the Gold and Diamond Source. It's April, and guess what? That means April is the birthstone. Diamonds are the birthstone of April. I did not know that. So they have 15% off certain diamond jewelry at the Gold and Diamond Source. So you've been looking for some nice earrings or something like that as a birthstone item. It doesn't have to be. You can buy them at the Gold and Diamond Source. It's a good time to head on over there and find something cool Of course, we love those folks over there. Do so much in the community, Julie and Steve Weintraub. And always the best place to go shopping for an engagement ring. Obviously, keep it local. You'll get the best price, the best selection. You get everything there, and you get a great local company that supports your community. So head on over to the Gold and Diamond Source, 3800 Omerton Road. Please tell them JP sent you. Let's get into some of the comments, shall we? Lonnie Wilkins up early in Chicago. By the way, it's going to be 65 in Chicago today. My son's up there. I think it's time to go to a game at Wrigley Field. When are the Rays are there in May, right? I got to get that. I got to get that trip scheduled.
Yep, they're in May.
Last year we went up there to see the Rays play the Cubs and got snowed on. So I hope we can have a better day at Wrigley Field with my son. Although it was fantastic. To say you went to Wrigley Field.
Well, that was April, though, right?
Yeah, that was the first week of April, I think.
Although, what's crazy is yesterday I was watching Twins. Twins White Sox. And I saw everybody was wearing short sleeve T-shirts in Minnesota, and I looked at the weather. Yeah. It was 78 in Minneapolis.
It's going to be in the 80s in New York today.
Yeah, but
it's cooler here. But this morning was cool.
Yeah, but in 6 days in Minneapolis, it's going to be snowing.
Yeah, exactly.
What?
I want to welcome this new commenter. I haven't seen them before. Bucks, Rays, Bolts. Said, let's go Rays. Hell yeah. And Jew Jetson. Let's fill the trop and get that Let's Go Brandon chant going. Love that. Rays still not getting respect, JP. This is crazy. I never get into that much because I think fans make more of it than most people do or should. But yeah, they're sitting 10-0, and they're getting at least 30 seconds on SportsCenter like they got last night. They did show the Brandon Lau home run.
I don't blame. I'm the resident, Rays fan that grew up here, so I could speak to it. I just feel
he's the chief fan club of all national media that are hating on the Rays, Bucks, Rays, Bolts.
Because we talk about Tampa's been through such a great growth period right now, but but it's still, to me, in some ways, it's still that small town, and has this very quaint fan base that I think it's crapped on a ton from a lot of people. Yes. I can't stand when people say there's no Rays fans. That just bugs the crap out of me constantly. So I feel like our guard is up with the national media a little bit. Yeah. But I will say, though, I've watched a lot of it around this time. MLB or Quick Pitch has opened up with the Rays on 3 days in a row.
MLB Network respects
on the first highlight.
They do.
MLB Network, the leadoff spot with Steve Phillips and former Eduardo Perez. They do a great job in the morning. I listen to them every day coming in. They've led with the Rays the last 2 days.
How can you not, though?
They've given them, and the MLB.com power rankings came out before the game yesterday, and the Rays are number 1. They didn't pull any shenanigans. They have them at number 1.
Yeah.
Now the Rays had a nice little comeback in the comment section.
You think if they were 8-2, they'd be?
No.
No, they wouldn't.
No.
And they lost 2 games. Why should they? Well, if they lost 2 close games and we're 8-2, they should still be number 1 in the power rankings.
So they're getting more respect.
Yeah.
They get more respect now. I think everybody. I just hate that everybody doubts this team, and it's like, bro, this team's won more games than anybody since 2018. They have a 560 win percentage since 2018, which is 40 points higher than the Dodgers, who are the next team. Stop disrespecting this team.
Right. You're not going to get it from ESPN. You're not going to. I don't even think they care about
ESPN was
baseball.
too busy carrying the WNBA draft last night, which all the stars are in the next year's draft, actually.
You don't think Boston is a star?
Well, she is, but I'm gonna be honest. Maybe this is my fault. I don't know, but I didn't know any of the other people that were on the top 10. Where next year you have Caitlin Clark, Paige Buchers, and Angel Reese, who are all projected to go 1, 2, 3. Now that is a draft.
I'm getting into women's college basketball, but I still can't get into the WNBA.
I can't get into WNBA, but I'm getting into the college game, which had record ratings this year.
By the way, it's not my fault. It's their fault. They know why. Nick, you're on probation. Wait till you start buffering, and coincidentally, you get that call to get faster speed, and that is why you are buffering. This is talking about your Spectrum. Well, it's not your Spectrum. Do you have Spectrum?
I have Spectrum, yeah.
What are you paying a month? You're on the probation. You're on the new plan.
I am. Now, the only add-on I put on there was Red Zone, so I'm at $142 a month. $5.
Is that with Wi-Fi?
Yeah, with internet and TV, $142 a month.
Damn, my bill was $275.
I was to say, I'm on the.
You got to knock it down.
I'm on the rookie
we
deal.
Can't do that.
I'm on the rookie deal.
You. Yeah, I'm not doing it.
If it went to 275, I'd be out of there real quick.
Right, it's crazy.
But then again, it's like, I guess you could, nowadays with the Bally's app at least, now who knows how long this thing's going to be here because of what's going on with Bally's, but if you can find a cheaper alternative and then just pay the $20 a month, maybe that's the better play.
Well, I've got YouTube TV is just like $72 a month. It gives me all my live TV and local stations. My Spectrum Wi-Fi is like, I got a special deal on that where I'm getting my cell phone, although I found out they only give you 20 gigs of data a month, which is like, I got to upgrade that. But so they give you cell phone and home Wi-Fi for like $30 total. They give it's $30 for the Wi-Fi and then for the high-speed Wi-Fi, and then you get your phone for free for the first year. So now I'm like at total, I'm at like $100 where I was at $275 earlier, and I get everything I need. But the Bally's app, they gotta upgrade that thing. I mean, the production of the game is fantastic. I love all the Rich and Matt, and it's fantastic. It's just the logistics of the app are just so rudimentary. I feel like it's like a 1985 app or something. They didn't have apps then, but it just they just need to be better. Well, that's all I'm saying. But they're not making any huge investments into technical infrastructure right now.
No, they won't be.
They're bankrupt as hell. But MLB.com, they have the top of the line of everything. Their stuff is like the best.
Even when they put games, they did this with the Rays, I remember, like in 2021. I don't know if they still do it, but remember they would put like one game a week on YouTube?
Yeah.
And they do that broadcast? Like, that was really easy.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just you go to YouTube and there's the game.
Yeah.
And that was seamless.
And that's, if the Bally's group goes under, and it's not Bally's, by the way, they're just the title sponsor.
Yeah.
Sinclair, I guess, is still owner of it. If that's in bankruptcy and it goes under, MLB is going to be there to pick up the slack.
Which, by the way, speaking of a YouTube TV, will you be a Sunday Ticket subscriber?
Of YouTube?
It's going to cost you an arm and a leg to get Sunday Ticket.
How much?
This came out today. If you're a YouTube TV subscriber,
that's me.
And if you buy before June 6th,
all right,
with Red Zone, and it'll be $289. If you buy it after, no, I'm not done. If you buy it after June 6th, it's $389. Now, if you're a non-YouTube TV subscriber,
a month?
Yeah, no, like
for the year,
for the whole year. Now, if you're a non-YouTube TV subscriber, we're talking $489 Sunday Ticket.
So
and Red Zone.
$289 a year.
$289 a year if you do it before June 6th, and you're a YouTube TV
can you do
subscriber.
it like a monthly? Just add on monthly? What is that?
It goes up by $100 if you go after that.
Yeah, but it's 25. You added 25 a month, or they want it full. They just want you to pay in full.
It sounds like this is a pay in full type deal. That seems high.
See, I've never
I've never been a Sunday ticket guy because Red Zone's good enough for me.
You got the Red Zone. What do you need Sunday Ticket for? I don't have time to watch 75 games. Plus, I have the NFL package from ESPN or the NFL, which you can get the all 22, which I love for in season. We can break the games down like I do every month, every week. So that's a must to have. Just run that through the business, but then that's like $11 a month, which is totally worth it. So I can watch all the games anyway.
Yeah.
On my time. So I don't need the Sunday Ticket. It just seems like a lot.
Yeah.
But a lot of people get that.
It's a lot of money.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with like MLB, like the MLB package. I'm like, why do I don't need to watch every team play random games.
I mean, who's got time for all that?
I don't have time for that, man.
Yeah, I want to give me the Sunday Ticket. I can watch every game. I'm like, well, I can watch every game, as well with the NFL Plus. It's weird. I guess but it's good to have options. For so long we didn't even have options.
Yep. By the way, you wanted to get into the Bucks here a little bit.
Yeah.
We got like about 7 minutes left here, so quarterback. You think a quarterback's going to be more of a possibility? Hendon Hooker's here this week.
Yeah.
And it looks here from Tom Pelissaro. He just said this, that Will Levis is heading to Tampa tonight, staying overnight, and he'll be visiting tomorrow. So,
look, you got to have a quarterback, and the Bucks do not have a long-term answer at quarterback right now. It might be Baker Mayfield, but
long-term.
Yeah. Well, if he has a great year. If he has a great year and does a Geno Smith, which is that's totally possible. It's totally possible.
Oh, really? How many times does it happen throughout the history of the NFL?
Game's changing, especially when it comes to quarterback play. The game is completely changing, And it does depend a lot on system, and it does depend on what's around you, obviously. And I think Baker Mayfield has enough upside to. I think the offense is. I'm not saying he's better quarterback than Tom Brady, but he will be better in this offense than Brady was last year. I guarantee you they score more than 18 points a game. That's what I'm saying. And I think he can be really, really good. And so let's say you draft Hendon Hooker in the first round. And he's not, he's going to be ready. He says he's going to be ready by the beginning of training camp, which is basically around the 1st of August, right? He doesn't even need to be, though, especially when you have Mayfield and Trask. I just say you let Mayfield and Trask work through it and battle for this year, and have Hendon Hooker sit and start to learn the game, and then see how it progresses. So if he's sitting on your roster, okay, and these two guys flame out, or they don't think, or you get him in camp and he's throwing the ball all over the place, and you're like, wow, this guy's really, really good. He could be a great player. It gives you tons of options at quarterback, which is what you need. You need options at quarterback. It's obviously the most important. And if Baker Mayfield flames out, which is also a possibility, and Trask isn't the guy, then you got something else to work with. And if you say Mayfield goes off, well, then trade Hendon Hooker next year, or trade Trask, or get something for these other guys, if you can. So they're always going to be assets, and you can do stuff with them, but it gives you more options. And until you have a long-term answer at quarterback, you need to find as many options as you can.
You have to consider it.
And it's not often you can get a guy at 19 that I think is as good as Hendon Hooker.
Well, here's what
Will Levis.
Here's what you have to kind of break down and weigh out what you want to do. Is, to me, the most successful teams more often than not are able to find that quarterback through the draft, and then you get him on a rookie deal for 4 to 5 seasons. You don't have a large cap hit, and you can build around him, right?
Yeah, and if you take Hooker in the first round, you get that extra fifth
to
year.
me, that's what the Bucs. I would love for them to be able to do. I guess is to be able to get that guy. And, I mean, maybe Trask, they're holding out hope that maybe he could be that, potentially. The guy they can have for cheap for the next few years if he pans out, but there's no guarantees of that. So until then, I think you have to at least keep your options open, because I think we both would agree the whole play that I think is just fantasy land for a lot of people, the Bucs are not going to be picking in the bottom 5 next year.
They're not.
I just can't see it.
They're not getting Drake May.
I can't see it.
Caleb
So they're not
Williams.
getting those two dudes.
Not with this team. Not with this team in this division and that schedule.
Yeah.
They're winning at least 7, 8, 9 games.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I just don't think that's an option. So I think that's what forces you kind of this year to go, okay, we got 5 quarterbacks, and even though I'm not a Levis guy, I think I've put that out there, but the other 4 I can get on board with to some respects, right? And really it's between Levis and Hooker, I think, because the other 3 are going top 5. So, you have to weigh out, are those guys worth it now, or is there quarterbacks after Drake Williams or Caleb Williams and Drake May next year that you would bank on? So far, looking ahead to next year, it seems like a lot of guys who maybe are going towards the modern game, but you might have questions about.
Jordan Travis.
Like a Jordan Travis, a Michael Penix from Washington.
Yes,
but he's a lefty. Sometimes, the NFL doesn't play too well to those guys.
I like him.
But I don't know. You have to kind of play that out, I think, if you're the Bucs.
I think, the draft will decide it for you. I think if Levis or Hooker falls to you, you got to take him at 19. I really believe that.
So that's what I want to know. If Will Levis fell to 19 because he's falling, is that considered a tremendous value for his talent if he's at 19?
Yeah. I think, as Mel Kiper said this morning, I was watching his draft, he says if Levis came out last year after his junior year or 2 seasons ago,
I would think differently of him.
People, he was a top 3 quarterback.
Yeah.
He hasn't, same dude who got injured last year and couldn't run, gutted it out, played for his team behind a terrible offensive line, and didn't have a whole lot of weapons. You got to look at that stuff. He's still the same player. Now, here's the other thing I said. So maybe you take an edge rusher at 19, and then if Hooker is still there at 26, 27, you jump back in, giving up your first-round pick for next year to get Hendon Hooker. I would do that in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
Because then you have the asset for an extra year that you can develop them and give you the same amount of options that you would have if you took him at 19. I would spend that pick in a heartbeat because it helps you in the salary cap. It gives you more options at quarterback, and you got a player at 19 that you really like, and that would be the grand slam home run if you're the Bucs. If you can come out of this draft with Hooker and a pick at 19 that's an edge rusher, an offensive tackle.
And you had asked me before the show today, between the three, Hendon Hooker, let's just say hypothetically that was the quarterback room. Hendon Hooker, Baker Mayfield, and Kyle Trask, who's the best arm talent? I think you phrased it, right?
Hendon Hooker.
That's true. Like, maybe, but I did, and Richie actually reminded me here of what I was going to say, that let's not discredit Baker's arm, and he's got it right here, and these are all facts, by the way. The combine, for as gimmicky as it can be, the fastest ball thrown at the combine in history belongs to Baker Mayfield. The longest pass in NFL history through the air, Baker Mayfield. 70.5 yards. That guy can throw.
Yeah, he can throw.
I think we discredit a little bit or undervalue him as an arm talent.
I agree.
A little bit. And I think we're so like in the recency bias mode a little bit. And, you saw what happened in 2021. Well, he was playing through, the shoulder injury.
Which was his left shoulder.
Yeah.
But that affects
it
your
still
motion.
affects you.
Yeah.
And I don't know if there was remnants of that spilled over last year to Carolina. He certainly looked a lot better when he got to Los Angeles and around that system.
I scrapped the whole Carolina experience because he was with Matt Rule to begin with. His coaching staff was a disaster. They didn't know what the F they were doing whatsoever. So I scrapped that whole thing. And then you look at what happened in Cleveland when he had a good team around him. He was really, really good. He won a playoff game, and he was really, really efficient that year. And I think Baker Mayfield can make a splash this year. I think he can have a Geno Smith renaissance. And by the way, he's a lot younger than Geno Smith.
He is.
But I still think
I'm just not going to bank on that happening.
No, that's why you do options. You get
that's
that
why
extra
you have to keep your options open.
Yes, exactly. Because either way, if you get Levis or Hooker at 19, doesn't mean he has to come in and start. No, doesn't have to. But you still have the asset.
Does it bother you if you take a Hendon Hooker at 19 and because of his age that you have to sit him for a year?
No, it doesn't bother me because, at the end of his career, right? You could say he's going to have less wear and tear because he didn't play, more seasons in the NFL, and he's, this is his second ACL, so you're concerned about that, no question about it. But it's the arm talent that really gets me going. So we shall see. All right, that'll do it for today, and we'll have much more Bucs talk tomorrow. We're going to try to get Scott Reynolds on the show tomorrow, and we'll also be breaking down the 11-0 start of the Rays and the Red Sox. I want to beat the Red Sox. I want to sweep their ass so bad and get to 13. So we'll be talking some Rays, and of course the Lightning will play tonight. We'll break that down as well. Have a great day, everybody. Talk to you tomorrow.